and in a predictable direction. So we call them as the permanent or prevailing wind systems. Right. So now we will be discussing each one of them. First is the trade winds. Okay, we have the northeast and the southeast trade winds. So the first point about these winds is they move from subtropical high pressure belt towards the equatorial low pressure belt. Right. Trade winds, they move between 30° north to 30° south latitude between the two tropics, and they move from subtropical high pressure belt to the equatorial low pressure belt. Right. So why are they known as the trade winds? This word trade in German means to blow in a particular fixed direction. Okay, because their direction is predictable and fixed and is true for all times in a year. Right. So these are the trade winds. Now we had discussed in the last lecture that subtropical high pressure belt are also known as your horse latitudes, and this is your ITCZ or the doldrums. Right. Also, the next thing that we need to know about the trade winds is that these winds, they blow from the east direction, right? So if this is your, say, coastal region and they are coming this way, so they are onshore on the eastern side of the continents. They are warm winds, therefore they pick up moisture from the sea or the ocean and they bring rainfall to the eastern side of the continents. Okay. So trade winds, northeast trade winds and southeast trade winds, they are onshore on the eastern side of the continents. They are warm winds, they pick up moisture from the sea and they cause rainfall on the eastern side of the continents between the two tropics, whereas they are offshore on the western side of the continents. Therefore, they do not carry any moisture, and therefore major deserts such as your Kalahari, Sahara Desert, the Atacama Desert, these are found on the western side of the continents between the two tropics. Why? Because the trade winds are offshore in this region. Right. Another thing that we need to keep in mind is something that is called as the shift in pressure belts. Now, as we will be discussing later on, the shift in pressure belt is due to the inclination of the Earth's axis, that is 66.5 degrees to the orbital plane, or 23.5 degrees with the perpendicular to the orbital plane, right. So if this tilt wasn't there, then this thing would have been permanent throughout the year, but because of the tilt there is a shift in the pressure belts 5 degree towards the north when the sun is on the Tropic of Cancer, and 5 degree towards the south when the sun is on the Tropic of Capricorn, right. So when these pressure belts, they shift according to the seasons, so the winds also tend to shift. It is this shift in pressure belts that results in the particular climate in the Mediterranean region, right? So we'll be discussing this in detail later on. So 4 things we need to remember about the trade winds. Firstly, they blow bit from subtropical high pressure belt to subtropical low pressure belt, 30 degree north to 30 degree south between the two tropics, right? So these are onshore on the eastern side of the continents. They cause heavy rainfall, whereas on the western side of the continents these are offshore winds, and therefore major deserts such as your Sahara, your Kalahari, your Atacama desert, they are found on the western side of the continents. Next permanent or prevailing wind system is your westerlies. Okay, so we have, as we have discussed before, we have southwesterlies in the northern hemisphere and northwesterlies in the southern hemisphere. These blow from the subtropical high pressure belt to the subpolar low pressure belt, okay, between 30 degree to 60 degree north and south. These are onshore on the western side of the continent, therefore they cause rainfall on the western . Okay, so